Hello again. Hope everyone's keeping well. I wanted to share with you something that happened recently. I guess because part of the description of this channel is reflections on returning, me returning to ancestral ground. And because of that, the information that I received recently, I thought is something I might share with you. So I had my astrology chart read by a wonderful astrologer named Susan Hopkinson. She's here on YouTube, and I'll put a link to her channel. I scheduled an hour and a half with her, and I had the session at the end of January. It was really interesting and really enlightening. I, you know, there was so much. I'll just show you. I took afterwards, Susan sent a recording of it, which was great because I have had to listen to it a number of times to just try to take some of it in. I don't know if I'll ever get all of it in, but I just thought I'd show you the notes that I took when I was re-listening. So that's 2 pages, and then I had another 4 pages, and there's even a little bit on the 5th page. So that took all day to make those notes. But anyway, Susan, I think her lens, there are a lot of different ways that a chart can be interpreted, it seems to me. I know very little about astrology, but I do have an interest in it. But anyway, Susan talked about my lineage and what she could deduce about it from my natal chart, which was really interesting. So she was able to interpret it with not only the energies that I came in with, but also those of my parents and those of my grandparents and great-grandparents. And really, I don't know how far back, but she referred to it as the family story. And she said that I came in I didn't just pop into life with no context, that I came into a family story that was already a story. I don't know what else to call it. She said I came in on like chapter 3, page 6. So it was kind of like the story was already up and running, and I came into it. And anyway, I'll just go over some of the reflections. I mean, it seems to be very much rooted in Irish culture. She did say that my chart indicated I had a very strong connection to Ireland. Well, I guess that's not a surprise to me. But anyway, it was interesting to hear that she could see that as well. She did say that returning to an ancestral homeland can bring healing, and not only healing for me, but also as we go through the story a little bit, that I could be a vehicle of healing for the whole lineage. And that's an interesting concept. I know it might seem a little difficult perhaps to get your head around it logically, but it does make sense to me. And I can't really explain that logically, but it makes sense that there were some family patterns that I could sense in my family that I grew up in, and also that I've taken on board, but that those patterns also are passed on really from generation to generation, so that those patterns of behavior were also an issue for family in generations back. It's fascinating and certainly something worth contemplating, I feel. So, anyways, the gist of it is that let's see. I have to consult my notes because it's just like, oh my God, there's so much here. Well, she related it in terms of planetary configurations and the geometry of the chart and all of that. I'm not going to go into that because I'm not sure you'd be really interested in all of that. You can let me know if you are. So let's see. I probably should have gone through this a little bit before I turned on the video. Well, this is a lot of personal stuff about my parents and their relationship, which, I mean, I mentioned this to my older sister, and she confirmed that, yes, she felt that some of the dynamics were, in fact, she was very surprised to learn that the astrologer could pick that up from looking at my natal chart. So that was interesting. So anyways, so this is really more of that. I'm trying to get to the family behaviors. Support, moon conjunct mother. Let's see. Oh, right. Okay. So it's kind of like there's a family dynamic where you don't want to create any conflict outside the family, like in the community. And so there's a quality of always accommodating whatever societal group the family finds itself in. So she was saying, that can be great in terms of getting along with people, but it's not always a good idea for personal development in terms of, you never, whatever you say nothing kind of a thing. That's a phrase that I've heard over here. It can be an issue for some people. So she's saying that there was, so the people in my lineage might have been overly concerned really about what people would say or think about the family. And so there'd be this idea that the people in the family wouldn't want others to know too much about how the family was or what was going on in the family. A sort of a way of hiding who you are. I guess that's really the gist of it. And she was saying that, it's like she called it a fear of reputational damage. So like the family would have a reputation to uphold, and something would happen that would, tongues would be wagging, or there'd be a family scandal of some sort, and that would cause wounding within the family, and then there would be a withdrawal or a wanting to um, not really be authentic. And, she also said it could also be everything from, the church back in the day would be, passing judgment on certain behaviors. Um, or it could be, you know, your next door neighbor or whoever, uh, gossiping and that kind of thing. And so when I was growing up, there was a vibe of being overly concerned about what will the neighbors think. I don't know how unusual that is for families. Maybe it's more of an Irish cultural thing. Maybe it comes from living in rural communities where people are close to each other in ways that is quite different than when you're living in the city, and there's a lot of anonymity between people. But in rural areas, there's less of that, kind of like everybody knows everybody in some way. Um, I mean, in communities, there's also a great deal of camaraderie and people helping people, which is a wonderful thing. But I guess maybe this is more of the shadow side of what can exist within communities, within groups. Um, so, yeah, how she described it was this can result in not standing up for yourself, um, and making sure that the picture looks good, the picture of the family looks good to others. Um, a kind of a don't rock the boat, which Susan explained can be personally quite damaging. Um, so uh, she suggested that it could be a family pattern that was passed on from generation to generation because of some unfortunate event that happened. So she didn't know what that event would have been. It could have been like a child out of wedlock, or, some other kind of shame, that was perceived as as a shameful event. Um, uh, People gossiping, and I don't know, just some kind of wounding. So anyway, I guess the long and short of it is me being back here in Ireland is in some way an opportunity to heal this, and that if it can end with me, um, this being overly concerned about what other people think, or a concern about how you appear, um, you know, I don't show up as who I am, but who I expect you, I think you expect me to be, which is doesn't have to be that complicated, but I can see how that is a reality, and so I'm going to try to work on that. I'm not exactly sure how to go about that, but part of it is actually doing these videos is an exercise for me to show up as who I really am, or who I am trying to be, without judgment, or, you know, without trying to be other than my real self. I think that's like an ongoing project. Uh, yeah, anyway, that's why doing these videos I think is helpful, because I'm not editing it. I'm not trying to like edit out something that I don't think is right or perfect. Yes, yes, that whole perfect thing. No such thing as perfect. Anyways, tell that to a Virgo moon. That would be me. Um, so, yeah, she called it a self-limiting concern for what other people think. Um, uh, let's see. Um, yeah, she said like it has something to do with being afraid or being fearful of showing up as who you are. Um, so, uh, yeah, I thought that was good. Um, let's see. She said it was okay if people see me differently, or if that I'm unexpected to certain people in certain situations, and that's okay. So she says because I would be coming from a place of honesty around who I am, and so I guess that's the practice. The practice is to be who you are, regardless of the judgment that you might experience from other people. So, anyways, I thought that that was interesting about, you know, ancestral ground and this idea of healing an ancestral lineage. Um, like, it's pretty wild, really. Let's see. Um, uh, Excuse me here, I'm just looking at the notes again. Well, part of it is over accommodating other people, um, tolerating what is intolerable. Uh, uh, so I guess she's suggesting that, well, as she said it, the energy is available to me to be myself in a way that feels present and personal and safe. So, um, let go of self reproach, have better boundaries, um, and if there are, you know, situations where you didn't say what you could have said, you didn't stand up for yourself, you just let things slide. I mean, I can say that for sure. I've done that, throughout my whole life. Um, you don't want to, like, you want to just be a good listener. You don't want to have any conflict. And so it's easier to just be silent when something odd is said or something that doesn't make you feel comfortable. And so instead of calling it out right then and there, you just don't say anything. And the thing is that silence can be misinterpreted as acquiescence. So I think the learning is how to be yourself moment to moment, how to, if something happens that is uncomfortable or doesn't feel like something you really want to participate in, or you don't really want to let it slide by, is to find the words to respond in some way that feels authentic to yourself. But I would like to also suggest that, kindness is also really important. So, how you do that with a sense of kindness would be important to me. Um, I don't like conflict. That's the long and short of it. But sometimes you can't be overly concerned about that. How someone responds to you being yourself is not about you, it's about them. So, and that works both ways. So, she says, so in my lineage, the bigger story says we have to toe the line all the time. What will the church say? What will they say? So, anyway, she suggested that if there were situations where I wish, in thinking back on them, I wish I had said this or wish I had said that, she said it's not too late. You don't have to go back in real time, but you can write it out in your journal and write out all the things that you could have said, would have preferred to have said, and then you get it out of your system by keeping a journal and writing those things down. And then she suggested burning stuff too, like you can write stuff out and then burn it. She said it can be very satisfying burning things. So yeah, that sounds good. Yeah. She says it's good to let go of what doesn't fit for you going forward in the future. There's a lot of energy around that, I think, in general, for many of us. Yeah, I thought that was interesting. And she also said not to worry too much about the future right now, but to continue to let go both of, we're doing a lot of decluttering at the moment, trying to like donate things and bring things to the recycling center and just unburdening. So there's it's good to do that with your physical possessions, and we have a lot of things here in the house that definitely could use some decluttering. But then also there's kind of an inner letting go of things that no longer fit who you are becoming. So anyway, that is about it that I'm going to share about this. It goes way deeper than what I'm even explaining right now. So I'll put a link to her YouTube channel in the description, and hopefully, if you feel that having a session with her would be helpful, I could definitely recommend it, especially if you have any family issues that you'd like some clarity on. Okay, I've probably talked too long, and I've had too many long pauses. Sorry about that. Anyway, thanks for listening, and I will see you in the next video. All the best. Bye.